Hi, folks. Nick Tuckert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. Before we get going, let's pay some bills. The Historical Fencing Guild is brought to you by the sales of the Simple Sword and the Fighting Axe, both available through Amazon at www.amazon.com/author/Nicholas Tuckert, as well as the Simple Spear, which I do have in. However, the only way to get the first peek at it is to come down to FezCon. Come on down to FezCon. Whoop, that just switched everything over so to try to get where I could show you the FezCon thing. That's fine. To FezCon Book Fair, Benton County Public Library, 102 North Van Buren Avenue, Fowler, Indiana. We'll be there 10 till 2. Let me get things back like it's supposed to be. Guys, it's been a night. Okay. So, if you want to support what we do, you can do so by buying my books, by becoming a Patreon member, or even hitting me up on PayPal at paypal.me/Nicholas Tuckert. I will accept any donations gleefully given. Now, you may know I don't have my usual regalia because I just had a big spill, and that mess kind of went all over the Hawaiian shirt I was wearing. So we're just kind of running off the hooks today. I hope you all don't mind. Let's go through the comments, and then we'll get talking about what's on the menu for everybody tonight. Foxy was first through the door at 7:18. And here comes Thesis. Here I come, Cock Some Swords. And Deep Breath. All is good. Wonderful. I hate running a couple minutes behind. I am pathological about trying to do my job correctly. And I overtaxed myself at a visit to the occupational therapist. Not brain therapist, the one that lets my fingers work, because I had to be refitted for a new set of braces. Splints, whatever you call the dang things. So, before we get into anything, how's everybody doing? Let's talk about that, and please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this. That's for all your sword fighting needs. Yes, I am in pre-con prep, and had I a bit of sanity, I would have called tonight on account of setting things up. But you all know that's not how I roll. I love my viewers too much. I owe it to my Patreon members. Plus, we had some good stuff come through where we had a question. Oh, hello. Hello, Cindy. I hope you're enjoying your prep for your cons and stuff this weekend as well. Yes, we have some stuff coming down the pipe, and if I seem a little sedate, like I said, it was very, very trying, and I am currently out of Tylenol, so I am just dealing with the situation. Sam E, what is this? I don't know, but apparently I'm out of it. No, let me rewind. I want to take a chance and recommend a channel before I got into anything else, in part because I find her commentary fascinating, and in other part, I am a sucker for her ongoing, very meta story. I'm referring to Jill Burrup, or Barrup, a wonderful, I believe, no, definitely a UK stunt swordswoman. So she does a lot of sword fighting in the realm of choreographed, and she has also got an ongoing series where she takes on both the realm of Caroline, the writer of a romance novel gone awry, a historical piece, and her heroine, Rosalind. Anyway, yeah, must have been included with the Tylenol then. Yes, must have. Boink. Jill Barrow. I love the Fantasy Heroine series. Exactly. She just completed her first season of that. And I enjoy, she talks about female armoring in films. She talks about the challenges of female armoring and being a fighter who female, a fighter who females. Babe, I just used the term fighter who females. Anyway, a female who fights. Uh, it's fascinating, and I'm mentioning this because this is on very much on brand for what we're discussing today. 1 second. Cindy Kep says, "Please hydrate, folks. I find people are nonplussed when I hydrate them." Look, if you don't drink enough water, I will break out my Super Soaker 100 classic vintage, pump that bad boy up, and hydrate you from a comfortable distance. You have been warned. I keep that around because I don't always have a hose, but occasionally fighters get a little too hot under the collar and need to be persuaded that egos don't matter. It's very rare that it happens, but when it happens, it is absolutely delightful to hit them with a body of water to reset their minds. Cold water is a great cure for testosterone poisoning. Oh. Okay. I tried to reach out to her with questions about female sword fighters. Haven't heard back yet, though. She's become quite famous, so it may be a while, if ever, that you do. And thank you for the notice that my live stream has started. Oh, God. Everything is being every kind of delightful today. So we'll get through it. We will get through it. This is one of those days. Let's see. Super soakers, for the record, will also fit onto a garden hose. If your yard happens to have 2 hoses, you have unlimited ammo. Delightfully true. Delightfully true. Yes. I just have found it's good to have lots of water on hand to put out fires. Whether it's the fire when you're making hot dogs, or in my case, I did some amazing smoked marinated pork. Oh my gosh. I have some, and when I'm done with this broadcast, I'm going to make myself what I lovingly refer to as Ghibli ramen, where you stop and you dice up some vegetables and maybe hard boil an egg and slice it up, and then you take really good meat that's already been cooked and you paper thin slice it, put it on top of the noodles with the sauce, so that when you cook it, it all softens and boils. Oh, it's delightful. But yes. Let's see. Kitty comes in. Hi, Kitty. It's been a while. I am impressed so far with what I have read, Thesis. And Cindy kept taking a moment to plug both this channel, which I love, the Historical Fencing Guild, which is where you are. Please like, share, and subscribe. And do you need a simple spear, fighting axe, or simple sword? Of course you do. At Amazon.com/Mr. Nicholas Anthony Tucker. So I'm usually, wow, okay, that sounds good. Oh, it's delightful. It's something I slipped into doing whenever because what happens is I believe in treating the cooking of meat like it is a privilege, in that I've had enough times where I've been able to afford anything close to meat in my diet that I still see it as a big deal. I know it's an odd thing to say, especially in a first world situation, but it resonated. And when I get something like a really well done, a lot of times it's pork, but occasionally beef. I haven't had beef in a long time for dietary reasons, but thin slice, and it's one of those great joys in life. So whenever I do a big meal, we cut it up, everybody gets some. There's always this little bit that's not even a serving. It always ends up about the size of a fun size candy bar. You know what I'm talking about? Or a little bigger, almost a candy bar, somewhere in there. But I find if you slice it real thin and you put it in some ramen right on top when you're plating your ramen to cook it in the microwave or you're just pouring boiling water over it, it really builds up the flavor. Now, what does that have to do with swordplay? Not a dang thing. But I will tell you this. Historically, people who sword fight tend to like food. I have found this. So, I'm usually starting the fire, putting it out. It's Foxy's job. Oh my. Anyway, but while we're setting up to do this, we need to talk the swordplay stuff. Fighting swordplay. I don't know how I got where I was. I completely derailed. That's funny. But going back to let's see, we have to keep keep people calm. Ramen. I don't know how I got there, other than the fact that I'm hungry. But ladies fighters operate very differently mentally. Now, when you're going to talk, because let me rewind. Our friend Thesis is writing a bit of fan fiction. He is writing a fan fiction story with two fighters from different periods, where one is a large man. Ooh, I almost got the dog in trouble. Oh my. And the other is a very small lady, and he's fighting with a Kriegmesser, which is one of my favorite swords. I love Kriegmessers and messers in general, in part because they were developed as a legal workaround. In the period that of Germany, especially, that the messers and Kriegmessers became popular. Krieg, just basically big messer, two-handed sword, but they are hilted like a knife. So instead of having a big pommel at the end and a tang and a hilt, they have a full wide tang and rivets, and they have scales like you would do. Well, basically, not unlike this. Okay, so connective pieces, tang. This is a knife. It's not threaded up like a sword, which would be. Well, this is a little segmented, but it'll work. You have guard, blade. The tang goes all the way through and goes to a pommel sword. Well, by the German definition of sword, it was a weapon that had a pommel. So they started making swords that weren't swords. They were messers. They're big knives, really big knives. And okay, I see what happened. Thesis thought she stole a piece of pizza. Nope, that was me. Good girl, get your pizza. I respect pizza acquisition. It's a really neat weapon. Now, I cannot offhand remember what Thesis, so I'm going to pull it up on my handy dandy cell phone while I talk at you guys, said the young lady. And young is a very interesting term since she's an immortal and she's hundreds of years old. But she was fighting with, let's go here. And where I'm going, guys, if you don't know, is into the groups. Oh, that's the private historical fencing guild. Here's the public historical fencing guild. Waiting to see if it'll load. My phone's being very, very higgity-piggity right now. And I do not know where I pulled the term higgity-piggity out. That's why, because I have everything and its cousin open. And then I closed it, because my brain is not today. It is not what? It is not braining. My brain shall not brain. It refuses to brain. There's brain denial. Alrighty, past the... And guys, if you're not subscribed to this, if you're not following this on Facebook, it's free. Join up. You're missing out on some great background, because I pull a lot of my content. And yes, a Messer's knife, Lang Messer is long knife. Kriegsmesser is war knife, which makes sense because Blitzkrieg is lightning war. Anyway, I gotta rewind. Alrighty, so I don't think you'll mind if I read this out loud. A day ago, well, I'm having some glasses difficulties. Just give me a second. Yes, I'm old. Get over it. This gray is not in there to make me look stylish. Ah. All right, Sword Family, I'm in need of some assistance. As promised on Friday, I've been working on my Jack the Ripper Highlander slash fan pit fic. So there's a slash in there, but it works. I've run across my first dilemma. I've gotten to the point of my first big sword fight. I'm having trouble describing it. Writing a sword fight isn't exactly easy. No, it's not. And the difficulty is compounded by the fact that one of the fighters is a woman. Okay, I respect that you're taking the time to see that as a different set of challenges. And both are using European fighting styles that I am not very well versed in. Education opportunity! Education opportunity. I think Meyer has some interesting Messer treaties. We'll have to look up good Messer treaties for you. Pow, pow, pow. Bam. The woman is short, around 5'5", and she is slim, 130 pounds. She's an aristocrat, but she's 300 years old, okay, in the 1890s. So she knows how to fight. Okay. She uses an arming sword and is very well versed in its use. Okay, so you're looking at if 1890s, that's an interest. 1590s 1590s arming sword. That does carry. I'd love to know more where she's from, because if you know where she's from, that will greatly influence what style she fights. Aristocrat means she had access to a private sword trainer. That's good. And she's very well versed. Okay. Her opponent is 6'3", 225, uses a Kriegsmesser as his primary sidearm since his days as a Landsknecht. Okay, Talhofer for days. Talhofer for days. That's going to be some serious muscle memory. Maybe some George Silver in there. I'd have to check the dates. These are both early. So look at 1.33 is the name of the manual. It's either I or 1. I think it's like Roman numeral 1.33 would be a good manual to look at for how the fighting's going to work. Just pulling from my derriere. He uses a Kriegmeisterstein. They're fighting in the garden of her large estate, so there are trees and various other plants to trip up and bind their weapons. It's early evening, so the sun has just gone down. Any assistance from female fighters or taller males who prefer curved swords would be appreciated. I've skipped that fight so I could keep writing, but unfortunately there's only so much I can do until I figured out the logistics of the fight. All righty. Now there are some comments that came up, so I'm going to dig into these real quick. Cindy makes a wonderful point. Access to private swordmaster means her style can come from anywhere, but as she's an aristocrat, it would be generally understood that she would train in a style of her nationality, because the sword style is as much a part of you as your music, food, culture, etc. But that is a good point. 1590 is an interesting time for an arming sword. Let me check something, because I will use my I mean, ah, see that 1590. Yeah, that's an arming sword. You're getting real close to rapier period. So that might be a transitional rapier. Oh God, I'm gonna say I will mispronounce this word because I've read it and I can't place it, but Colamarsh, Colacharde. There's a very specific weapon that comes to mind. I will send that to you. That can do both arming sword, traditional one-handed fighting, and rapier because it's wide at the base and then kind of narrows off to be a better thruster. And yes, and she's had 300 years to cross train in multiple styles. So an arming sword is interesting because it's a fairly archaic weapon at the period of her first exposure. But if it's something she acquired, now that's the other thing. It could be a weapon that was not something she brought, but you said well versed in. That's interesting. So, what you're going to have, as a rule, shorthand, um, he's definitely going to have reach on her. The arming sword is less of time period, more what first teacher used and what she was trained in. See, and that's what I'm saying. That's an older style, okay, but that still tracks. You have period overlap, and arming swords are far more uh, uh, versatile weapons than people want to think. Uh, it's still much. She's going to have a much more cutting slashing style than she's going to thrust. Thrusts are there, but it's going to lean a little more towards the cut. That's one of those where knowing her nationality will give you a way to narrow it down. Boom. Let me look at something. So what you want to do, if you're using that time period, is start off with looking up the sword manuals of the late 1500s. And that's, yeah, I'm getting a lot of, my gut went German, and that fits both her and him. Fight book I-113. The Walpurgis Manual, yes, is a 13th century sword and buckler manual. 14th century German sword and buckler, 15th century. J. Lendl, and I do not join the ARMA as an organization because they forbid training outside of their organization, which is what I'm inherently against. But 1470. Okay. Messerfakten, yes. So, collection of anonymous journalists' somewhat stylized illustrations from circa 1470 on judicial and wrestling. Von Bowman's fight book. And both of these should work well with either of these individuals because there's very much a German flair here. See, yeah, and then the world basically ports over. Oh, Littenhauer. Littenhauer would be a good place to dig into too. Talhofer's popular. Basically, what you want to do to get your style is look up the manuals and just look through the plates. You don't have to understand the style. to understand where they're coming from. Her first, okay, wait, her first teacher had been around since about 11. Okay, yeah. Okay, if you're saying 1130, 1123, 1193, your Immortals, yeah. You're going old school fighting, so yeah. I would definitely get your paws on a copy of the I-113, the Fight Book MS I.33, the Walpurgis Manual. It's sword and buckler, but you should be able to port that real well to arming sword. And inherited weapon, because this is a Highlander, you've got Immortals training Immortals. The other factor is because it is Immortals who can only be killed by decapitation as the mythos, they do tend to focus on decapitating cuts. So what you're probably going to see as let's take a step back. You're looking at someone who this is how they have to fight. Okay. That means there's a temptation to reckless abandon in basically metagaming style combat. You're not afraid to get impaled on your arm if it lets you decapitate them because it won't kill you. The wound will just go away. It will hurt, but pain is subjective. I would start looking, actually, I would look a lot at Meyer for both of them, because Meyer features a lot of, especially for your Messer guy, you're going to see a lot of wheeling motions, a lot of high guard work. So the temptation, especially for the lady, is to have a very strong high game because she's shorter than a lot of her combatants. Likewise, there may be a little bit of discrepancy for the larger gentleman because you're looking at a two-handed weapon, just superior reach, and a frankly merciless mercenary. I mean, Landsknecht were notorious for getting the job done, and they favored big weapons, bold clothing, and getting paid. That's what they were about, to the best of my understanding. So, yeah, I'm going to see a lot of Meyer, a lot of wheeling. He has every reason to be trying to take his cuts at a distance. She's going to have to get into, as a smaller fighter, she's either going to have to debilitate the arms, as like arm snipe, cut the arms off in this case and go for the kill, or get past. But she's really at a disadvantage because head lopping is a big guy's game. Her sword was given to her graduating modified grip and palmer to compensate for her being smaller and weaker than her teacher was. Yeah, this is going to be hacky business. And this is one of the rare games where rapiermanship is not what you want to play. I'm annoyed because she would be much better suited to something saber-like, both in what she's trying to do and the fighting style she has to do. But with Degrassi had a good, yeah. The short, easy version is Landsknecht is going to be a matter-of-fact fighter. This is somebody who did it as, for a living. So you're going to expect I have to hop off of this. You're going to have to expect the Landsknecht to be trying to end this fight fast. Okay. Get in there, hack, cleave. You're not going to get a lot of flourish out of it because he's going to want the job done. For her to beat him, it would be and see, with the ages, you've said the skill, unfortunately, when you start reaching years and years and years of experience, skill starts to plateau. So it really will come to the unnatural, depending on how you want this to go. So part of what we need to know, writing a fight scene is very much like writing a murder mystery. Okay. It's much easier to write in reverse. So you don't write this, the detective came, found the murder, found this clue, and this clue. No, you solve the murder. This, you do it much more like a Columbo episode. This is how it ends. From there, you work the maze backwards for your outline. Okay, so he went through, it ended here. Well, to get there, you had to kill her. To get there, you had to do this. And you build it backwards, and you walk through it forwards again and find where they made a mistake. So I need to know what the dedicated outcome, who's, and forgive me if this is in here and it slipped my mind, who's the who has home court advantage, and who has home court, who is the aggressor, if there's one, if this isn't like a duel. And then we look into the setting. Lighting's going to be dwindling. It's very dramatic, especially if you have like firelight or candlelight. There's going to have to be cheating for, and I love female fighters, but if it's all balanced, the guy who's got longer reach, a longer sword, and is stronger is very likely to win. That I hate to say that Colonel Colt, God Grade Man, Colonel Colt made him equal, but this is one of those nasty cases where the guy's going to Darth Vader his way through most stuff. Think of the Darth Vader fighting style, that just powerful force, blows raining down, bam, bam, bam. More angle cuts, but it's just, and she's going to, that's his strength, and that's what he's going to go into. She's going to be able to hold her own, be very, very agile. This is very wolf and fox kind of combat, dog and fox, where she's going to have to be adverting. But at the end, the only way for her to get there is both to be able to physically reach to get that shot. She'll need an advantageous position, and she has to get inside his attacks to get up to make that shot. That will take a lot of very non-standard action to make it believable. Okay, she's going to lose. Fine. That makes it. I hate to say that makes it a lot easier, because I love to root for the little guy. But in that case, there's almost no wrong way to go about it when you start to realize she could get a lot of neat cuts in, a lot of low-level parts, because this is where you take advantage of the fact that they're both basically unkillable, immortal machines, save for the decapitation. And at that point, no matter how good she is, the strength just won't, she will be weighed, measured, and found lacking. That's the only way to phrase that kind of combat. Now, you have to make it interesting if you want it to be sorry, dropped my stylus. To be believable. Not just believable, but entertaining. Most audiences will have no problem with the effect that a guy with a longer blade, two-handed, he's going to have strength, leverage, reach. It's really stacked against her. But that means she can do a lot of fun. Just because she trained in an arming sword, trust me, you can do a lot of rapier-style combat with an arming sword. I've done it. A lot of defenses, a lot of pretty stuff. So, you can have her being incredibly agile, jumping off of things, swashbuckling style. Whereas he's almost a Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, just coming laboriously, bam, bam, blow. The blows just hammer. You want to keep it agile enough that he's not just the club singing. Okay, cool. Then yes, she knows the terrain, so she can work him into a situation where she can trip him or come down from above. She's also fighting her skirt unless she can gird the skirt up or has some way to remove it, a quick release or something. But this will give you a lot of time to make her, especially if she's going to lose, lots of agility. You could even have the fight get progressive move around and have her essentially parkour up into a tree to come down, get a partial cut, and then use the raw physical strength to parry the cutout and take the head as a surprise. That would be a great way to lay the groundwork where he's just, no matter what he does, he can't hit her. It's very frustrating. And she's bouncing around and just cutting him up. And then she does something really beautiful, but it's just not enough. The whole cleave into the neck but not get through would give a wonderful, a moment where she can, get, like I said, up into a gymnastic tree kind of thing. Oh no, that totally okay. I read that with her attacking more Asian style, with her attacking at his hands. I don't but that no. Arm sniping is not solely the purview of the Asians, nor later rapier duels. Do not think that. There's a reason why the earliest manuals. Do I have a buckler in here? Do I have a buckler in here? Do I have a where? I don't even have my tactical tambourine handy. Shoot. Okay. The earliest manuals have a sword that looks like this with longer, a buckler, and they're closing the middle road and they're protecting the hand with the overattached buckler. This, you're seeing this a lot, where the buckler isn't outstanding. It's joined this close to the middle road, and this provides protection here. Arm sniping is very, very much a always thing, especially as a necessity for a shorter fighter. There just are less pieces of cake we can reach to take from our opponents. Yep. If her skirt is easily removed, cloak for offhand, lower center of gravity, so she's going to dance around. Speaking of dance, remember, as an aristocrat of that period, she's going to have dance experience. Given her build and size and period, ballet is very much a possibility. Giving her accentuated jumps, rudimentary gymnastics. There's a lot that can be played into that. Even acrobatics, which, as somebody who's both immortal and in the business of staying alive against other immortals, would be a wise thing. Parkour and free travel are not the not Asian influence alone. So I would really work on making sure she has an incredibly mobile, devastating cutting style. Oh, absolutely. That it would make sense for her to try sever tendons. She's going to need to cut him down to get at his neck in a lot of reality. So she's going to be seeing it very much as a whittle him down, get a positive angle kind of thing, because she just won't be able to get one and done it like he theoretically could. And that will set you up for the incredible upset moment. Because remember, you have to see it. You need to be able to close your eyes and see you're watching this fight and you're watching it go. And okay, she's running across the field. He's thrown a cut. She's parried. It's hard, so she has to do supported parries. Uh, she may actually even have to half sword to get the strength or run the flat of the sword. So, okay. This is far closer to his weapon than hers, but it's what I got handy. She's going to have to occasionally do very supported parries and let the blow come down to reach around and smack. Okay. An arming sword really was a bad choice for her. Not. It fits the story, and people make bad choices. An arming sword isn't terrible, but like I said, at that period, there are things she could have used that would have worked better for her. But yeah, what I'm seeing is one of the best things. Have the fight, have her tear him up, drop him to his knees so that they're basically level. Have her do the cut and it not be a strong enough chop. And him just grab the blade, push it out of his own throat, and decapitate her. You could even have him, lose a weapon or get tangled up or something, and have her just grab and then, something like this, because, grab the blade. She's angling it, just especially if it's from behind. So she's gone for the chop and he's got it, rip it out, and then just because it's bam her with her own blade in his hand, gripped by the blade. Do something truly horrific because they're immortal and you can. The real reason for the fight is to show the death of Jack the Ripper's first teacher lover. Jack is watching her fight and she has to watch her die. Gotcha. Goes after and kills him, inadvertently causing the sinking of the Titanic. Since he can bowl through her parries, wouldn't he just be more... Yes, she would. She would be refusing. If she's at all smart, she's not. She's going to dodge and void. And the most logical thing for her to do is try to sever his hand. That makes sense. Lop off the arm, he can't hold the sword. He's a lot easier to get to his head, because she's just not going to be able to get in there with a kill shot traditionally. And that also gives you the possibility of, if he's supposed to die immediately after, getting the hand lop. So she dances, avoids, scores, severs his hand off at the wrist, and he drops the Kriegsmesser, goes for the chop, and instead of it penetrating, he catches it partially and it digs into his hand, and then he just wrenches it out of her grip and backwards decapitates Murder Stroke style. That is brutal and awesome, and that would weaken him for to make the Jack the Ripper, because Jack is not notoriously a big weapon fighter. So setting up for the next fight, it would do well to incapacitate the Lansknecht quite a bit, in my opinion. I don't know if that helps, but you're looking for that moment, because when I talk to people who are writing comic books, and I'm reading the comic books they do, one thing I like to remind them, and I've heard this somewhere and I love it, is you have an infinite budget, okay? So if you're doing a sci-fi movie and you're digitally putting in starships for a massive fleet battle, a massive fleet battle shouldn't be 3-on-3 ships. It should be a staggering amount of ships. When you have somebody who can't die but they can endure horrific pain. As a writer, you want to use that resource. Highlander fights, the fights between two immortals when you have very, very specific victory conditions are are storytelling opportunities. To what horrors will they endure to get the kill? In any movie, the hero or anti-hero is impaled on the sword and he comes down the blade to take the head of the son of a bitch who stabbed him. Rob Roy comes screaming to mind. You have an opportunity here, and I really think that's where you want to double down. And okay, you say it's not immediately after, it happens a couple weeks later, but canonically, limbs that are severed do not heal, so having him lose a hand or arm would make things easier for Jack. And then you have the opportunity of, the cut scene, oh god, after the kill, where he's shown somewhere with like the metal stump cap kind of thing, possibly with a hook, possibly with a threaded socket where he can switch the weapon or tool out. That suddenly makes the Launch Connect character mentally, visually, stimulating. His version of Jack is a bit different from most historical accounts. He's a spoiled, rich English boy. That's some. Anyway, the best account of Jack is found in A Night in Lonesome October by Roger Zelazny. It's my favorite Jack the Ripper, followed ever so narrowly by the Babylon 5 version. Sebastian was incredible, but yeah, that's what I would do. I would have her pull off what looks like a win and maybe be happy. Look at Jack happily, ha, I got him. Look up and then have him pull this, almost Frankenstein has grabbed the weapon, decapitated her with her own weapon, which is a very disrespectful kill. Backwards? Do you see the villainy in this? The almost uncleanness of the kill? It's delightful. So thinking of something like that, if you want to use that, use that. But that's how I would. Her fighting has to be very. She knows she has home field advantage. Okay, that's fine. Oh wow! Hi, Kat. We're joined by Kat. Happy Friday. Thought I'd tune into this whilst working on grades tonight. Hope all is well with you and yours. It really is. And tomorrow, if you're feeling incredibly froggy and want to make the run, we're having a small book fair at Benton County Public Library. So I hope you can consider coming down there in Fowler, Indiana. I know it's a heck of a drive, but it's from 10 till 2 if you get the time off. I hope your night's going wonderful. I have all the love in the world for our rock and roll art goddess, and you need to send me a new video, darling, with links where people can actually buy your stuff, because people are DMing me and they're interested in buying your books on mindfulness and promoting that around. So please reach out with that so I can better promote you. And this has turned almost over into another episode of Never Mind the Furthermore, but I don't mind, and I don't think you do. So, yes, if you're going to write, let's see. Richie had written a different kind of fight, but the idea of her slicing him up, Death of a Thousand Cuts style, going for the kill by him. Yeah, to me, and I could be wrong. You have always had the option to take every scrap of advice I have and just it right into the garbage can. But that seems like the only way someone, as somebody who's been little, and I favor shorter weapons against taller, uh, longer armed opponents. That's the only way to get there, is to get what pieces you can and stay alive, or be voracious and jump in their shorts. But you really can't do that in her situation because the knifey heady. I mean, it's not like you can go in and get that quick kill. So that's how I would say to write that. Snipe and run makes sense. It just does. Because even if he heals and he regenerates, energy is lost. You're still bleeding. You're still having life. You're still going to get tired from the fight. So that's her best bet, is to just wear him down and go for the kill. And plus, it will make it. Okay, friends. I believe in being honorable and honest and fair and open every possible bit till the fight starts. And once the fight starts, it rapidly becomes a matter of uh, cunning and distraction and doing the unexpected. It's a vicious mind game. And as an author, you want to do the same thing to your audience whenever possible. Because the outcome of this fight, in basic, if you saw these two people in a room with their weapons, would be, well, yeah, he's going to mess her up. Now, I've dedicated my life to teaching people to try to make that go the opposite way. However, in this case, it's not. So we need to figure out why. Oh, no. Acola Marsh, let me I can't remember the spelling to remember the pronunciation of the weapon. So give me just a moment. Well, okay, we go here. I don't need the standard array right now. I'm hoping I'm close enough that the algorithms. Aha! Colishamurde. It was a small sword from the late 17th century, but you find variants like that. So it would be something like that, but I don't know if the timing's quite right. I'm trying to get the images to come back so I can show you. But honestly, for the way she fights a saber, but if it, like I said, you said this is an inherited weapon. This is a weapon with legacy. So go with that. That way you can talk up the legacy of the weapon, the spiritual attachment to the sword, so that when he kills her, and not only kills her with it, but kills her with it backwards, it would be a defiling act on her and the blade. You could even go so far as after, yes, Colicha Merde. There it is. I know that sword well. You could even go so far as after he's clutched the sword and decapitated her and had his quickening moment, him just dash the sword across a statue, shattering it as a final disrespect. Because if you do that, then you have blade fragments that Jack could incorporate into his weapon, because we don't know yet what Jack is carrying. So, do you see that? And that when I'm writing, I'm not trying to write it for you. But I believe the weapon is as much a character as the character wielding it in this kind of story. The history of the weapon, the style of fighting, there's a life to it. And I think using that and using that approach will really help you get what you're looking for across. How does that sound? Well, while we wait about that, I do want to remind folks to please hit that like button, please share, and please subscribe. Um, I I know today's been a little odd, but I had a great author question. We had a chance to deep dive it. I will be have to call this at an hour though, so in about 5 minutes, I'm going to have to call today because I have to do a whole bunch of late con prep for tomorrow because we're doing double duty as I'm semi hosting it. So I'm going to be probably sneaking out tonight with early access to the library, getting my booth area set up, and then being there early again to help others because that's how I tend to work. But let's see. Jack is going to be using a similar style as as his first teacher. He's also got a straight razor that belonged to his father that he carried out his murders with. Now, a straight razor would be great, but it's very hard to decapitate someone with that. So, given the period, given that Jack is an urban setting killer, I would love to see him with a meat cleaver because you need a cutting blade to decapitate somebody. So I would really think about either the broken base of her sword getting reshaped into a cleaver-like weapon, solely for the purpose of killing immortals, because I don't think Jack's like straight razor that or a garrote would be it's doable, but it's hard to decapitate somebody. So I would go with that. Um, okay. Um, this has been remarkably helpful. Thank you so much. I will probably be spending the rest of the evening looking through different manuals. And don't be afraid to look up like good Bartitsu fights because of Jack's setting. The razor isn't a killing weapon, but it's an offhand weapon to slice at people. Exactly. So I would roll with that. But okay, there's something going on in the hallway. As a parent, I'm going to have to deal with. So what I'm going to do is say, guys, thank you for a lovely conversation. I will get, if you need more on this, come back to me. If you're an author and you have sword fighting questions, you want help or to discuss how your fights are going to be, please look me up. Me and the guild will be happy to help you. I will be back on Nevermind the Furthermore Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for that show. We'll talk about the con. We'll go over author creative things, and yes, I'm coming. Beyond that, I will see you here next Friday night for another episode of the Historical Fencing Guild live stream. So, guys, keep your eyes open, do your drills, be kind to yourself and each other, and thank you for supporting your local sword master. I hope my con goes well too. I hope to see you all very soon. Have a wonderful night.